hit him with the Mac now his whole body scab. I done for the crew, I done did the robbing, I done did the jacking, now I'm full rapping.
Should rap lyrics be used in criminal trials like the case of rapper Young Thug? Constitutional law professor Kermit Roosevelt does a deep dive. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, let's talk about a big legal issue in the Georgia trial of Young Thug. The Grammy Award-winning rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, is facing 8 criminal counts, including conspiracy to violate the state's RICO or racketeering law. Now, this is part of a wide-sweeping indictment against him and what was originally 28 other defendants, although a number have taken plea deals like Gunna, Trontavious Tick Stevens, and Antonio Sledge. But prosecutors claim that the defendants are all part of this criminal enterprise, that Williams is at the head of it, that he's like the mafia don, that he co-founded a street gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, back in 2012 that has caused absolute chaos. I mean, we have people charged with murder, aggravated assault, robbery, theft, illegal firearms possession. But one of the major issues is that prosecutors plan to use rap lyrics as evidence, that these lyrics are a sort of confession by the players of their crimes. Let me bring in constitutional law scholar Kermit Roosevelt, who is a visiting professor at Yale University and is a David Berger professor for the Administration of Justice at the University of Pennsylvania. Professor, it's great to have you back here on Sidebar.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let me give you an example of the lyrics that we're talking about, then we'll get into it. There is a song called Slime Life by Young Thug. And obviously, I'm not going to rap it because I'm not going to put everybody through that. But this is the lyrics. Just take it.
Defendant Jeffrey Williams, an associate of YSL, released a song on YouTube titled Slime Shit, where the lyrics state, hey, this is that slime hey, YSL hey, killing 12 hey, a jail hey, cooking white brick. I'm not new to this, hey, so I'm not new to this, hey. I'm so true to this, hey. I done put up a whole slime of 100 licks. Slime or get slime. I'm in the VIP and I got that pistol on my hip. You praying that you live, I'm praying that I hit. Hey, this that slime. The police in a high-speed 100 rounds in a Tahoe. I'm prepared to take them down. Got banana clips for all these acting monkey. This that slime. This that mob. The judge, YSL. This that mob life, an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy.
Hey, this, that slime, S-H-I-T. First, I should tell you, it was disputed whether YSL stood for Young Slime Life or Young Stoner Life. So here's that. You could argue that that's an admission. But then it goes on to say, quote, killing 12, F a jail, then cooking white brick. Hey, I'm not new to this. Slime or get slimed. In the VIP, I got that pistol on my hip. You praying that you live. So, Professor, arguably, you could say that that's a confession to weapons possession, murder, drug trade. But my question is, do you think that do you have First Amendment concerns about lyrics like this being used to prove the crimes in a case?
Well, I'm not sure the main issue is a First Amendment issue. You know, thinking about it, I've decided there is actually a First Amendment issue there, because if things that you say in music, in art, in dramatic presentation of a different persona, if that can be used against you, that is going to chill your artistic expression. So I think there is a First Amendment concern there. I think the greater problem is the standard evidentiary issue of, is this going to help us get to the truth? Or is it going to mislead the jury? Because there are lots and lots of people who rap about crimes, and it's a persona, and it's the life that they're describing, but it doesn't mean they did it. So I think most of the time, this is going to be inaccurate and inflammatory. So sometimes, like if he's mentioning details of the crime that no one but the perpetrator would know, right, then absolutely, that's good information that's going to make an accurate decision more likely. But I think most of the time rap lyrics are going to mislead the jury.
It's interesting you say that because there are other songs that are referenced, right? That or lyrics from other songs. Slatty, Anybody, Take It to Trial, Ski, which actually features Gunna. I said that he took a plea deal. But then there's another song called Ew, and it allegedly references the robbery of a woman that was done by Trontavious Tick Stevens. And he confirmed, remember, he took a deal that he was the one mentioned in that track. So if you have something directly connected to these alleged crimes, maybe it's nebulous. If something's nebulous, because you mentioned chilling expression, my concern would be that, you'd have artists in all different mediums saying, hey, maybe I should cool it with these lyrics because maybe they'll be used against me. But maybe it's really time and place, right? If it's directly connected to something specific, that's where the danger is.
Well, I mean, I think that's where the value is. So if it's directly connected to something specific, I would be much more inclined to say it's okay for the government to use that. And here it does seem like there's some pretty specific connections. So maybe that is okay. The thing that I would be concerned about is more in general, the guy is rapping and it's his tough guy persona and he's talking about shooting people and dealing drugs and so on, because that's the life that he wants to talk about. But it's just a persona, and then you've got some unrelated crime and the government wants to bring this in basically to show that he's a bad person and a criminal. That shouldn't be allowed.
Well, I wonder if there's also a question of responsibility. If you rap these lyrics, I mean, I know the Fulton County District Attorney said if you admit to crimes, I'm going to use it against you. And I guess that's the concern because at this point, it seems that they are going to be used in this trial. The defense, interestingly, said that they filed a motion to try to get these lyrics not used. Not only did they say it was a violation of the First Amendment, they said it was a violation of the 14th Amendment. And they said that this was racist and discriminatory to do that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there is an element of that, so if you're taking an art form that's predominantly associated with Black culture and you're showing that to a white jury and the white jury doesn't understand that people describe crimes and say that they've committed crimes, but of course they don't mean that literally, I think you do have the real danger of misleading the jury.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you had a white, uh, let me think, a white country singer who gets arrested for something, and his lyrics or her lyrics are used against them, I mean, I would imagine this argument wouldn't work. It's just a matter of an artist saying something that ties it back to them. I mean, look, how many times do we cover trials where text messages and emails and things people say over the phone are used against them? And it makes me wonder, how is this any different?
Well, I think it's different in that there is sort of a recognized form of artistic expression here where people assume personas, and it's much more common, I think, to claim responsibility for crimes in rap than it is in country music. I mean, you could look at like Taylor Swift, No Body, No Crime, where she describes killing her friend's abusive husband. Um, She'd never get convicted of that because she's not referencing a particular crime, and also no one's going to think that Taylor Swift is a killer just because she wrote this imaginative song about it. But I think there is a greater danger of that with young Black men. Now, I don't think any court is actually going to say it's a 14th Amendment violation, but I do think that's something we should be aware of.
What do you make of legislative moves to fix this? So we know that California Governor Gavin Newsom signed the Decriminalizing Artistic Expressions Act. So it doesn't outright say you can't use lyrics in a criminal trial. It just limits the way that you can use them. It's basically like we talked about, there is a presumption that the lyrics have minimal value as evidence. And so you're going to have to show the court that they were written around the time of crime, that they're specifically tied to it. They depict factual details about the crime that, like you said, are not known to the public. We also know that industry groups and people in the music industry, members of the United States Congress, they're hoping to prohibit the use of lyrics in federal courtrooms. And I think it's called the Restoring Artists Protection Act. And then I should also mention to you that on November 1st, there was a paid advertisement that was signed by music groups, record labels, artists, and it ran in different publications. And it's asked prosecutors to stop using lyrics as evidence in criminal trials. So what do you think about these legislative efforts to curb this?
Well, so I think that's probably the right way to do it. I think you have to look at it on a case by case basis, and you have to ask, is there a connection between this particular lyric and this particular crime, so that it's not being used just to make the jury think this is a bad, violent person who boasts about engaging in criminal activity, but this person knows something about the crime that only the perpetrator would know, or maybe like this lyric explains the meaning of this acronym. I think that actually could be useful. But in general, I would be very wary.
I'm also curious your opinion that when this trial is full blown, swinging ahead, a lot of evidence being presented, if jurors might say, you know what, this is their weakest argument. And they might say, if this is what you're going to using lyrics, maybe that's not a strong sign for a prosecution's case. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts on it.
Well, I think you have to have something more. I mean, I'd be astonished if someone could be convicted just on rap lyrics. There have been cases where someone sends a threatening communication to an ex-wife or something, and then I think they try to defend on the grounds that, oh, I was just writing a rap. And there, where the communication itself is the crime, I'm much less sympathetic to protection. But it's very, very common, that's the thing, in rap music to assume the criminal persona and talk about killing people and dealing drugs and so on. And without a pretty strong specific connection to a specific crime, I think that should be kept out.
All right. Professor Roosevelt, thank you so much for breaking this down for us. And let's see how it actually ends up being used and maybe what a jury will think about it. Professor Roosevelt, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And that's all we have for you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sidebar. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.